Hello and welcome to my demonstration of Series Sam First Encounter HD. Now, first the background of the game. Series Sam came out in the early 2000s, and it was meant to be more like a test game for an engine that the developer Croteam has developed. Turns out that the game was a huge hit, resonating with old school and new players alike, and it became one of the best games of its years. Now, I think 1 or 2 years ago, the company gave the game an HD workover, basically improving the graphics aspect of the game, but also tweaking some gameplay elements. Alright, so this game looks a lot better now. Actually, it's comparable to Series Sam 3, which just came out. Which game is better? Well, that's up to you to decide. I personally like both a lot. Okay, Series Sam is an old school shooter, kinda like Doom, Duke Nukem, and that kind of stuff. Or Quake, even. Now, there's one difference though. Whereas these games always had a relatively fair difficulties, even the higher ones, that is, if you were really good at them, Series Sam is bloody hard, and even on normal difficulty, it is very challenging. But if you want to, you can set the game to a difficulty that almost makes it impossible, or too easy. That is all up to you. Okay, Series Sam offers 3 general game modes. It has single player, obviously, cooperative, and deathmatch. So it basically covers all game types that could possibly be done in this kind of game. Alright. A single player, and in the first game there's only one episode, that's Egypt. If you have both HD games on Steam, you can also play the levels from this game on the second one, but I just want to show them separately for now. So the first game has all of these levels. It doesn't look like too much, but the levels have relatively high numbers of monsters, even though compared to the second and the third game, it's not as many. So this is definitely the easiest of the Series Sam games, but it's still hard, that's for sure. Cooperative is just that. You play with friends. You can invite them in Steam using the Steam overlay and invite them to a game. Now, the way you play, well, it's all up to you. If I say start server, here, these are just the basic settings. So, you can set it to be a private session or not. If you don't check this, that means that public people can come into your game. Well, if you want that, that's all up to you, of course. And clients may pause, allow voting, basic stuff. Difficulty, of which there's plenty, as you can see. There's Tourist, Easy, Normal, Hard, Series, and Mental. I personally recommend, if you play this for the first time, go on Easy. Tourist is too easy. Seriously, this is for those that really never played a first-person shooter. You can't die, your health is regenerating, whereas the enemies barely do any damage. Easy is okay. Normal, that's probably where most of the experienced FPS players will go for. Hard is for those that found normal too easy. Serious is for those who who know everything about this game and who are first-person shooter gods. And mental is actually hard, but with one difference. The enemies fade out. They are either translucent or completely invisible. That, of course, does not exactly make the game any easier, especially when you consider the numbers in which they come in. So here you can select the level from what episode you wanted. They even include a demo version of the game in it, which is also a level from the campaign, but I think it's different from the campaign version. And this is what I want to talk about. Customize game. Here you go. Here you can set up the game the way you want. Every aspect of the game can be customized. You can give people infinite ammo or not. Weapons can disappear or not. Extra multiplayer enemies. This is a very useful option because you could end up needing this. When you play with a lot of people, and I'm talking like a dozen here, you may quickly realize that the game doesn't have enough enemies by default. So just check this box, and the game will spawn more enemies. Personally, if you play co-op at all, even with just 2 other people, I would already set this on normal activated, because the first encounter, again, compared to the other games, doesn't have as many monsters. but still a lot. So there's that. Then there's of course a difficulty. Allow health items, health stays. So, yeah. If you check this to explain, by default, if there is an armor or a health item on the ground, you walk over it, you pick it up. Simple as that, and it disappears. That's how it is in single player. In multiplayer, you can activate this so it stays. So when you walk over it, it's still there, so that the other players can pick it up. But everybody can only pick it up once. So if I run over it, it disappears for me, but the others can still see it and go for it. This makes resource sharing a lot easier. Of course, if you want a real challenge, you deactivate this. So if there's a shotgun, you have to talk about who gets a shotgun. Respawn credits. This is basically the amount of lives you have. Respawn credits, it's kind of a weird term for it, but this is the amount of lives you have in co-op. If you die, by default, you just hit the fire button and respawn. However, you can give your team a number of life. You can go from infinite to no respawn at all. 1 life. If you're dead, you're out. So, again, even if the base difficulty is too easy for your team, using a life limit, like 1, 2, 3, 10, 30, and so on, you can customize the game to your liking. I very much like this. Of course, if you play with newbies, it is recommended to play with infinite. However, in my opinion, if you play with a life limit, it will make a game much more intense because, well, dying actually has a consequence other than losing ammo. Because you don't lose your weapons either when you die. Friendly fire, you can activate that, but I wouldn't recommend it. Because of the nature of the weapons in this game, lots of explosives, you could end up hitting each other. Extra enemy strength, that means that if you set a percentage, you can set how much more health the enemies have. Say, if I have an enemy with 100 hit points and I set the counter to 100, it will have 200 points instead. And so on and so on and so on. Up to 4 times the health. That is a lot. So, you can really make the enemies a lot tougher if you want that to be. If you put it on 0, they will have a base health, just like in the single player campaign. And you can also make an extra enemy strength by player, which means for every player there will be this percentage in addition to the monster's health. Interesting stuff, actually. I never used all of this, but you could to make your own personalized game, whatever way you want. Respawn in place. If you activate this, people can respawn where they died, or if you deactivate it, they will respawn at the start of a level. And the levels are huge, so consider this. Invulnerable after spawning. If you spawn, well, yeah, you're invulnerable. You have spawn protection, so to speak. But if you deactivate this, you can be hit right away. Again, all up to you how you do this. So that's the options. That's co-op, and that's that. I know that the second encounter has pre-made co-op modes. Like there's one where it automatically has a life limit and one where it's always infinite, to make it easier for people. But here you can just set it up whatever you want. Deathmatch is just that. I have a couple of maps which are actually not from the campaign. These are made for deathmatch. I've never played it myself. And it also gives you an estimated number of players for it, like 2 to 6 or 2 to 10, that kind of stuff. Player count, private session. It looks very similar, but of course now there's a frag limit and a time limit. There's that. I don't know how you can customize this, by the way. Oh, you can set infinite ammo, allow health items on armor. Okay, that's not a lot, but so that's deathmatch. But what we really want to talk about is the core game itself, and for that we gotta go into single player. And okay, so now since I beat the game, I have access to all the levels, and as you can see, there's quite a few here. I think it's about a dozen, and I would think playing through this game, you're gonna need a couple of hours. It all depends on the difficulty and how experienced you are with the game. Every now and then they also throw in some small puzzles. These puzzles are usually easy. For example, you're supposed to pick up an item. If you do it wrong, there's going to be a trap that kills you. If you're smart, you hit a switch that deactivates the trap first. Of course, you gotta know this first, but the game usually does give you hints by using cutscenes. Now, the problem is, the guy that triggers the cutscene is seeing it, so he has to tell the others. They fixed this in Serious Sam 3, where, as far as I have experienced it, if somebody triggers a cutscene, everybody sees it. But in that game, the cutscenes usually play at the beginning and the end of a map, so it makes sense. So that's that. The first couple of levels are really just way too easy. If we want some action, I would recommend... Yeah, this is a good one. I don't like this one. This is a great one, because I think this is one of the most monsters from 178. I mean 87, sorry. 200, 800. Karnak has like 800 monsters. Luxor, 300. Sacred Yards is a secret level, just like Moon Mountains. These are hard to find, by the way. If you don't know how to find these levels, you're not gonna stumble upon them by accident, I can assure you that. At least not with Moon Mountains. And the Great Pyramid is the final level. And yeah, the game's set in Egypt. This is a unique thing about Serious Sam games. They all are set at different periods. First encounter is in Egypt, ancient Egypt to be exact. Second encounter goes to, I think, South America, medieval ages, and Babylon. So I thought that was really cool. Anyway, I just looked at my timer. We don't have enough time for gameplay, so I will do this in a second part. So I'll be right back.